25 years ago, I think Vietnam was lagging behind Thailand by 25 years.
Okay.
At least. Now, I would say that they caught up with all this. I think they are lagging behind other developed countries in South Asia by like 5 to 10 years. So they caught up a lot. They still have a lot of things to do though, but it's getting much better.
Đây là TheInsight, một podcast của ZNews nơi trò chuyện cùng lãnh đạo các tập đoàn và doanh nghiệp về cách họ thích nghi với những viễn chuyện mới trong môi trường kinh doanh và đầu tư. Tôi là Lan Anh và khách mời ngày hôm nay của chúng ta là ông Jean-Marcel Guillon, Tổng giám đốc FV.
Hi, good morning everyone. Very nice to be here with you.
So, welcome to the show, Doctor. First of all, congratulations to you and your FV team on becoming a member of Thomson Medical Group. I remember that it has been like 4 months or 5 months since the official signing ceremony, right? So how's everything right now?
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Good morning, first.
Yes.
Actually, the signing of the agreement with Thomson occurred in July 12th last year. But in all those type of agreements, we have conditions precedent. So things we have to do, or they had to do as well, before we can formalize the transaction. And this took time. So basically, everything was done by the end of December. And officially, the money was paid and everything was done on the 2nd of January.
Yeah, but I'm quite surprised because I can see that many people, they would leave when after selling his company because they don't want to be like work at a company that they used to found it. But you and your FV team still staying and accompany with the Thomson Medical Group on this new journey.
Yeah, there are different types of people.
Yes.
I don't think retirement is an option for me. I'm not interested. And I love what I'm doing. I'm very lucky. Running a hospital it's a fantastic experience. And I've been lucky enough for doing that for like more than 21 years already. So I really love the hospital. I love the country. I love the people I work with. It's my passion. So I don't want to stop that. And it was very clear from the beginning with Thomson that I would stay. Of course, I don't think they would have bought the hospital if I was to leave. Because if I was to leave, a lot of people would leave as well because they work. It's my team. People I've worked with for many years. And it's also a matter of trust. Maybe it's old-fashioned, but when I shake hands with someone, it means something. So the deal with Kiat, with the chairman, deal with him is that I stay, my team stay. They don't need to move anyone from Singapore to Vietnam. The team is completely the same. There is no difference, and there is not one person from Singapore in the team. They don't need to because I have a complete team. Of course, we work hand in hand, very closely together. They have to check a lot of things. They are a listed company on the Singapore Stock Exchange, so they have a lot of requirements that we have to comply with. But it's not a problem. I mean, strategically and operationally, we work together very closely, and we share the same vision. So it's very pleasant to work with people like that. The strategy is bringing Singapore to Vietnam. Like I brought France to Vietnam 21 years ago. 21 years ago when we developed the hospital, the idea was to bring not France, but to bring a certain idea of medicine, a certain idea of hospitals, a certain way of managing hospitals, international standards, many things that were lacking in Vietnam at that time.
Yes.
So it was a very modern approach. So we brought things to Vietnam that didn't exist. Now it's different, okay? However, you still have a lot of people who are sick and who want to go to Singapore for treatment or for medical advice. Well, according to the MOH, couple of years ago, so I don't remember exactly when, the calculation was that those people spent more than $2 billion a year in Singapore.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a waste of money if you can have the same level of medicine in Vietnam. So the whole idea now is to bring Singapore to Vietnam. What we are working on, and we have extremely good doctors, Vietnamese doctors at the hospital. We have a few French doctors, but we have mostly Vietnamese. But we will bring also Singaporean doctors to Vietnam. So, it's one of those things we are going to do together.
Yeah, so as you said, that something has changed in the medical, in the healthcare industry in Vietnam, right? For more than 20 years, from the first day you established the FV, now you are one of a few people that have accompanying the development of the private healthcare in Vietnam, I think so.
Definitely, yeah, well, okay, when I first arrived in Vietnam was in 97. Okay, so it's nearly 27 years ago. Yeah, at that time, Vietnam was very different. It was not as developed as it is now. Very, very different. And when it comes to healthcare, Vietnam was very, very, very lagging behind other countries. The difference between Vietnam and Thailand, for example, at that time was enormous. It was like two different worlds. Okay. In fact, back in 96, the government of Vietnam commissioned a survey, an audit of their own healthcare system. And the conclusion of this audit were that the healthcare system, to work better, should concentrate on customer experience, should open itself to foreign investors, and should also apply the truth in terms of prices.
Yes.
All those things were very revolutionary at that time. So this is how we came to Vietnam in 97, because the government of Vietnam opened its doors to foreign investors. And we decided to follow that path, to do what they expected us to do. To develop a modern hospital, to bring a customer experience, to put the patient at the center, not the doctors at the center, but the patients, to develop all the international standards that were coming together at that time. It's like now we are accredited by JCI. JCI was, the beginning of JCI is in the mid-90s, So we did a lot of things together, a lot of things in Vietnam, and it was a fantastic journey.
Yeah.
25 years, more years ago. When I first arrived in Vietnam, there was one private hospital.
Yeah.
Chuan, on the other side of the city.
Yeah.
It was the only one. Now, I think only in Saigon, there are something like 35 private hospitals, or something like that. I don't know the exact numbers, maybe more. The private sector didn't exist really.
Yes.
So it was also something new that was to develop. It was complicated because we had only public sector. So when they decided to open to foreign investors, they also opened to Vietnamese investors. And this was very important because money was not there. There was not enough money in the budget, in the government budget, you see. There was not enough money. So having investors would bring money, and bringing money would develop new hospitals and new ways of treating patients. That was very good. And this is what happened to Vietnam. When you look at the Vietnamese healthcare system now, and you compare it to 25 years ago, it's the difference is huge, absolutely huge, and it's good, very good. A lot of things happened, so it's a very good story to tell. The development of the healthcare sector in Vietnam over the past 25 years is very interesting.
Yeah, so that's why I want to ask you about that. The trend that many foreign investors now they are starting to interested in the healthcare, the private healthcare industry in Vietnam.
Yes, a number of Raffles, for example, invested into the so-called American International Hospital.
Yeah.
You had the CVC, which is a private investment fund that invested in the hospital in Canton and opened another establishment not far from FV. I think there are others, investment funds or investors that are interested into Vietnam. It's not an easy market though, but yes, you have people interested. And some groups have already invested in Vietnam, yes.
But besides the benefits, do you see any like possible risk when the foreign capital flows into Vietnam in the healthcare industry?
No, I
Is
don't
there
see.
any?
I don't see risk.
Mhm.
I don't see really a risk for that. No,
Yeah.
no, it's good. You see, healthcare is capital intensive. When you buy equipment, you need money. So because it's very, very expensive. You know, if you buy a good
Infrastructure.
linear accelerator, you have to spend a couple of $1 million. A CT scanner costs $1 million. You know, it goes fast, and it's the same price for everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's not because you're a public hospital, you're private. You need to pay the same price. So you need to raise money. That's sure. That's a given. You need it. So having influx of money, foreign investors, is pretty good for the country. Yes, there is no risk for the country. There is for the investor. They have to be careful in what they're doing, of course.
Yeah, and for you personally, like, is it difficult for a doctor like you to run a hospital? Like, because I obviously the professional works and the business operations, I think it differs significantly.
Yeah, it's very, very different.
Uh-huh.
I was not trained to be a hospital manager.
Yes.
When I was chosen to be the CEO of every hospital, I must say that I was not ready. I was not ready at all. I mean, I had to discover the job. You know, I was trained as a doctor, for years I worked as a doctor, and then I got involved into this project of developing a hospital in Vietnam, and I became the developer. So I had to learn what it is to develop a project. So I had to learn many things about architecture, about purchasing equipment, about recruiting doctors and nurses, about accounting, about finance, about everything you want. But this was the development of a project. And then when you come to running a project, it's completely different. You have to learn how to do the day-to-day operations, to organize a hospital, organize the work of doctors, look at the problems linked to human resources. Yeah, many things, which are totally different from what the doctor is supposed to know. So I had to learn on the spot. I had to learn doing it. And fortunately, I surrounded myself with a very good team. So and most of them are still working with me now. So it's been an incredible experience. I hope that after 21 years doing that, I know a little bit about the job now. But I must say that during the first years, it was very difficult. Doctors are not made to run businesses. It's not the training they have. Okay? So you have specialized schools to become hospital managers. Not in Vietnam, but you have in the other countries. In France, you have a school for public hospital managers. So they train people to run public hospitals, but you have also schools for private hospitals.
Oh, really?
So they know how to do that. I remember my COO at the beginning was a French guy that has been trained to run hospitals. And with him, I learned a lot because he was a real professional. I was not. Then he left and he ran to run hospitals elsewhere in the world. But anyway, so doctors are not made to run hospitals. They are run to practice medicine. Running a hospital is a different business. So I must be a little bit special, and I've been lucky because I learned that another job.
I think that today all of your efforts have paid off when AbbVie is highly appreciated by one of the leading medical corporations in the region, right? So in the future, how do your team and the Thomson will collaborate to develop the AbbVie?
Okay, so Thomson and we are part of Thomson, right? So that we don't collaborate, we work together.
Okay.
Thomson is a group which has a hospital and a large network of private clinics in Singapore, mostly focusing on obstetric and gynecology, and also pediatrics a bit. But also they have a multi-specialty hospital in Kuala Lumpur, and now they have FV in Vietnam. So Thomson as a group wants to develop in several countries, and the idea is to be a real large healthcare group that is very successful. But there are huge differences between Singapore, Malaysia, and Vietnam, of course. So my job is to develop Thomson Vietnam. Okay, I'm in the board of Thomson Vietnam, along with Mr. Kiat, who is the chairman of the group, and Melvin Hang, who is the CEO, the group CEO. Yeah. Okay, we work together. So in Vietnam, what do we want to do? Continue exactly what we've been doing in the past, that's for sure. We want to develop FV further, want to add new things, and I'm here for a number of years still. So we have a number of projects together that I can tell you a little bit more later if you want.
Can we expect any changes in the FV hospital in the coming years?
No, development, yes. Changes, no. So as you may know, we have planned to build a third building called the H building. We have two buildings at the moment, the F building, the V building, so FVH. Yes. The third building is a very large one. I'm presently working with the authorities to get the construction permit. Hopefully before the end of the year, we should start the construction. So the new building will house a number of new things. We will expand the oncology cancer department by adding what is called a cyber knife, which is a very, very, very interesting piece of equipment to treat tumors, very small tumors in secondary locations. It's very technical. Nobody has a cyber knife in Vietnam. It doesn't exist. And also we'll buy a digital PET scan. There are very few in Vietnam. We need it. It's very important for cancerology. We develop a IVF. IVF is one of the key activities of Thomson in Singapore. So we want to develop it in Vietnam as well. We'll develop also hemodialysis for patients with chronic kidney disease. And then we expand the number of consultation areas we have for cardiology, urology, pulmonology, things like that. And we create also a patient education center, and then a large gastroenterology center, and more oncology. So it's a big building. I want to do that. So and doing that, we can remodel also the F building, which is quite old now. We opened it in 2003. Had new facilities, new things that we want to do. So we want to have a complete hospital. So the hospital, when it will be finished, when we'll open the H building and finish. So let's say in 3 years' time, we will have a very, very large hospital. So that's one thing. The other thing we want to develop is the academic activities. So we want to train young doctors. We want to train doctors as well by doing a lot of what you call CME, continuous medical education. We are bringing experts from around the world and also a lot from Singapore to help training doctors in general. We do also some research, clinical research, so we want to develop that too. So this is what we are doing. We will develop we are developing at FV, District 7, Fumiong. Yes. But beside that, we also have a clinic in town. So we want to transform that. We want to do two things. Something I really would like to develop in the future is an ambulatory surgical center. So many surgeries, you don't need to be hospitalized. You can be operated in the morning and leave back home on the evening or in the afternoon. So having a proper ambulatory surgical center will be the first one in Vietnam. I've been working on it for a couple of years. I hope that it's gonna happen within the next 2 to 3 years. And also, we want to develop a center for cosmetic, plastic, beauty, longevity center. And this is something that will happen not before the end of this year, but early next year.
Yeah, many things to expect, right?
Mm-hmm.
But although you are a leading hospital in Vietnam, and now with becoming a member of Thomson, do you see any challenges in the coming years?
Well, there are many challenges in
Yes.
Vietnam, not because of Thomson. You know that at the moment we are going through a drop in exportation, regulatory issues, and also the consequences of the scandals, the financial scandals that happened recently. So economically speaking, we are going through challenging times. Vietnam will go out of it, of course. It will take so at the moment we just have to wait and be a little bit careful. Challenges always you have, because you have competitors, of course, you have new technologies, you have, you need to adjust yourself, to adapt very quickly. But this is the rule, always be the rule. So I'm not fazed by that.
But in such a market, like very competitive and challenging, how would you view the FV's position?
Okay, the ambition of AV has been to always be one of the leaders. Okay, so we want to invest into the best equipment. We want to have the best doctors. We want to be at the cutting edge of technology. It's not always easy to do that.
Yes.
Other people are doing that too. We're not the only ones. So we need to offer to our patients the best we can. Okay, and we are very, very, very difficult with ourselves. When I say the best we can, we really want to do the best, but we know it's not easy to achieve. So we are not cutting corners. Sometimes we know it takes a little bit longer than we expected to achieve something, but this is what we aim for, to provide the best possible for our patients. And I'm not saying we are the best, right? But we want to be one of the best. Remember the vision I developed, me and my partners a long time ago, was to be one of the best private hospitals in Asia. And this is what we are trying to be. And our models are the big hospitals like the Bumrungrad in Thailand, the Medical City in the Philippines, or the Gleneagles in Singapore, or Changi Hospital, and also public hospitals as well. So I looked at all those big facilities in Southeast Asia, and we look at them and say, okay, this is what we want to be. But even I want to be better. So this is what we are trying to do.
So talking about the medical cities in the Southeast Asia, how about the medical tourism plans or strategies at FV?
What about reverse engineering? I mean by that, you have a lot of Vietnamese, they go to Singapore, Bangkok, or elsewhere, but mostly Singapore and Bangkok to be treated. What about having them coming to FV instead? You see, I called it reverse engineering. So to make it even more appealing to patients, the strategy is, as I said at the beginning, to bring Singapore doctors to Vietnam. So why would you go to Singapore if you can be operated in Vietnam at the same level? Not necessarily by Singaporean doctors, but by the same techniques, the same quality, the same outcome, of course, is what we're looking for, and for a price which would be lower, and without having to go overseas. You see, so this is what we want to achieve with Mr. Kiat, to make FV the window of Singapore, but in Vietnam.
But up to now, how much percentage of the patients at FV is foreign?
We don't have much patients coming from overseas. A country that really, really, really managed it very nicely is Thailand. Thailand is an industry because it's been encouraged by the government. A lot of things happen to have patients from all around the world going to Thailand. Also, it's so easy to have a visa. You have many things, and Bangkok is very well organized, the infrastructure, the hotels, and everything. So it's an industry, really. In Singapore, it was also very developed because they attracted a lot of patients from Indonesia. When Indonesia was very underdeveloped, a lot of patients were coming to Singapore. But Singapore is very expensive, right? While Bangkok is less expensive, but still expensive, but less. So for people are not necessarily attracted to come to Vietnam from America or from Australia. We have some patients coming, but not many. What we have is what I call trans-border medical tourism. So a lot of patients from Cambodia and a little bit from Laos. And before the problems were also from Myanmar, but not many anymore. So from Cambodia, we have a lot of patients. They're very, actually because of the history of Cambodia, a lot of patients like to be treated by Vietnamese doctors. You have Vietnamese doctor in Phnom Penh, Choré Hospital, Breed Hospital in Phnom Penh. You still have a lot of Khmer patients coming to Vietnam, and many come to us. Actually, they represent about 4% of our patients. So it's cross-border tourism. It's not tourism, but you see what I mean. But the big size medical tourism, I don't see it happening before a long time. It's very complicated to put together, and it requires a lot of support from the government. So it has to be a nationwide process. It doesn't. One lone hospital cannot really do that. It's very difficult because you need the infrastructure. You need also just simply having easy visa. Just simply, if you're Australian, you need. So if you need to apply to a visa, it's been complicated. You need to have a process in place. When you look at what happened in Thailand, you have the buses from the big hospitals at the airport. So people go straight to the hospital. So easy. A lot of things are easy, and you have an organization with hotels and good infrastructure. So it's not exactly the same. That's more difficult to organize. So that's why I'm saying reverse engineering. Prevent patients, not prevent, but attract people who would go to Singapore or Bangkok, and having them to FV would be, I think, the way to go.
So looking at the whole picture, what are you perceive as the prospects of the healthcare industry in Vietnam?
You see, when you look at the way the Vietnamese healthcare sector has evolved over the past 25 years, it's quite impressive. There are many things to do still, many things to do. You see, you have, and it's the same everywhere in the world. The private sector and the public sector do not have exactly the same purposes. The public sector must take care of everyone. Okay, so regardless of the amount of money they have, you're supposed to treat, because it is the country, right? So you have to take care of everyone. You have necessarily a large number of people. So necessarily, you're not, even though you have to pay attention to customer service, to the facility, to the comfort and stuff like that. Your main priority is to do medical care. So you understand. So this is the most important point. But you cannot take care of everyone. So the private sector, because it's very expensive, right, to take care of everyone. And medicine is expensive. That's the way it is. Because drugs are expensive, medical equipment are expensive, breeding hospitals is expensive. All this is expensive. So at the end of the day, it costs money. This is what they explained back in 1997 in the audit to the Vietnamese government. You have to practice price reality. Because if you subsidize, okay, but where is the money coming from? So if you want to finance public hospitals, you need to raise money from the people, from the taxes, right? You need to raise money. And you raise money, and this money is used to finance medical care for people who can't afford it. And then for people who can afford it, you have also the private sector. The private sector is going to help a lot. And the private sector has huge responsibilities too. Actually, it's almost the same responsibilities as the public sector. So the good policy, this is what is happening in Vietnam, is to develop both the private sector and the public sector together. And of course, when you are a regulator, you have to put rules in place. It's very important because medicine is you deal with people lives. But then you leave also open the door to innovations, new treatment, new things. So this is what is going to happen in Vietnam. And it's happening. It has been happening for many years now. So you develop the two sectors together, and you facilitate the emergence of new technologies. So I think it's going to develop more and more over the next years to come. The sky is the limit, I would say.
But when we compare to other countries, like especially in the region, to what extent do the development of the private healthcare in Vietnam?
Okay, let me put it that way. 25 years ago, I think Vietnam was lagging behind Thailand by 25 years.
Okay.
At least. Now, I would say that they caught up with all this. I think they are lagging behind other developed countries in South Asia by like 5 to 10 years. So they caught up a lot. They still have a lot of things to do though, but it's getting much better.
So it's like a huge effort from all of the bodies and the doctors and the investors like you. Yeah, I believe that your hospital will be always the leading in the Vietnamese market as you wish. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time and your interview. Thank you.